wind carried the sound of laughter down the quiet street that afternoon, the kind of laughter that didn't feel warm or welcoming. It was sharp and mocking, slicing through the air like a cruel blade. On the sidewalk outside a small diner, a fragile elderly woman sat with trembling hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. She couldn't hear the insults thrown at her nor the laughter behind the phones recording her pain, but she could feel the humiliation. Her heart felt like it was cracking open as she clutched a worn-out purse and stared down at the pavement, hoping the moment would just disappear. Just a little while ago, she had come here simply wanting a warm lunch and a bit of comfort. Instead, she had been pushed, cornered, and treated like a spectacle. At her age, she never imagined she would face the worst kind of cruelty from those young enough to be her grandchildren. If you believe the world still needs kindness and second chances, please take a moment to like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel Light of Kindness to support real-life stories that inspire compassion and hope. Her name was Martha Ellingson, 74 years old, partially deaf since her early 40s after a tragic illness, but still independent and determined. She loved visiting the little diner on Maple Avenue because it reminded her of better times, days filled with laughter shared with her late husband Henry. Today had been especially lonely, and she just wanted to feel like she belonged somewhere again. But when she misread the cashier's question and replied incorrectly, a group of teenagers started giggling and whispering. One of them, a tall boy wearing a bright red hoodie, waved his phone in her face, mocking her confusion. When she accidentally dropped her purse, they kicked it just slightly out of reach, recording her. As she desperately crawled to retrieve it, her fragile hands scraping against the rough cement. She couldn't hear the words they spoke, but she could read their expressions: disgust, amusement, cruelty. She wiped her tears, trying to avoid meeting their eyes, trying to stand up with her weak knees, but her balance faltered, and she sank back down. Each second was an eternity filled with shame. She didn't understand why they cared to hurt her. She had done nothing wrong. She had lived a life filled with love, giving to others, volunteering at the library, taking care of her neighbors when she could. But now she felt small, invisible, and utterly alone. Inside the diner, some people saw what happened but chose to look away. A couple whispered, shaking their heads but not daring to intervene. The world seemed too cold in that moment, too willing to let cruelty continue unchecked. Then, the distant rumble engines echoed down the road. At first, it sounded like thunder rolling from the mountains. Then, one motorcycle turned into 3, then 5, then a whole formation of chrome and leather. The teenagers paused, their smirks fading as they glanced down the street. The bikes came to a slow, steady stop right in front of the diner. Leading the group was Axel Cooper, a broad-shouldered biker with a gray beard and quiet, intimidating presence. His leather jacket displayed a symbol of their group, Guardians of the Road. These bikers weren't out to cause trouble. They traveled around supporting charities, visiting nursing homes, delivering supplies during crises, all because many of them knew what it felt like to be judged without being understood. Axel noticed the scene instantly. The trembling elderly woman, the phone pointed in her face. The bullies snickering with no fear in their hearts. He didn't hesitate. With determined steps, he walked over and carefully crouched beside Martha. She flinched slightly, unable to hear his soft words, but she saw the concern in his eyes, the gentleness in the way he held out her purse. She hesitated only a moment before taking it, her eyes watering again, but this time with gratitude. Axel helped her stand, steadying her weak frame with the kind of respect someone her age deserved. The other bikers formed a protective circle around them, not with aggression, but with silent authority. The teenagers, unsure whether to act tough or flee, chose a shaky retreat. Phones were lowered. Mocking smirks vanished. One muttered something under his breath as they scattered down the street, suddenly too small to face what they had done. She even invited them to help the bikers with yard work on weekends. At first, the teens were hesitant, but over time, they began showing up willingly, earning trust bit by bit. They learned respect. They learned empathy. They learned that real strength isn't in humiliation, it's in lifting someone up. Martha's life changed because a group of strangers decided not to look away. A moment of intervention became a life filled with companionship, purpose, and hope. Her story became a reminder to everyone who heard it. Kindness costs nothing, but its impact is priceless. As the sun glowed over the neighborhood one bright afternoon, Martha sat on her freshly painted porch with Axel and several bikers surrounding her. Children played nearby, neighbors waved from their lawns, and the one lonely woman now felt like she was exactly where she belonged. She looked out at the peaceful scene before her, the community that once ignored her, now cherishing her, and she felt an overwhelming sense of warmth in her heart. She realized that life still held beautiful surprises, even when pain tried to convince her otherwise. She wasn't just surviving now, she was living again. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of kindness, please like this video, comment your support, share with others, and subscribe to Light of Kindness to empower more people to choose compassion every day. A special request, comment kindness wins if you believe kindness always comes back around. In a world where some try to tear others down, let this story be a reminder that true heroes don't need capes. They just need a heart willing to help. The biker showed up, but kindness is something we can all arrive with wherever we go. Let us carry that forward.